So in this video, we will try and understand how does the US elect its president. Of course, they will be thinking in mind whom they want to have as the president, whom they want to have as the vice president. But technically, they go and vote for everything is fair in love and war, and the election to the president is virtually like a war. He has been both the vice president and the president of the United States, but he has not contested an election at all. Hi friends, welcome. Rangarajan here. On November 3rd, there is going to be the US presidential election between Mr. Donald Trump and Mr. Joe Biden. So in this video, we will try and understand how does the US elect its president. But before that, we should be aware that US is a presidential democracy. What does that mean? There is a legislative body which makes the laws in the US, and there is the executive branch which is headed by the president. The legislature there, which is called the Congress, has two houses, just like in India. House of Representatives, which is equivalent of the Lok Sabha, and Senate, which is equivalent of the Rajya Sabha. And the members to these houses are directly elected by the people. The executive branch, which is headed by the president, is also elected by the people. But do they technically elect the president directly or indirectly? We will try and understand in this video. So in the US presidential election, there are four phases. The first is what is called the primary and the convention, which nominates the candidate on behalf of the parties. The second is the actual election day, which happens in November. The third is the electoral college electing the president and the vice president, which happens in December. And finally, the inauguration. So first, the primaries and convention. There are two important parties in the US. One is the Republican Party, the other is the Democratic Party. Of course, there are other smaller parties like Libertarian Party, Green Party, etc. And they also put up candidates for the presidential election. So there is this process called as primaries and caucuses, where people actually decide, they elect who should be nominated on behalf of their party to become the president of the United States. So Mr. Joe Biden actually went through the primary race and then finally got nominated on behalf of Democratic Party for the post of president. Mr. Trump, because he is the sitting president, automatically got nominated. So this happens between January and August of the election year. So for example, in 2020, between January and August of 2020, these primaries happened, and then the candidates were finally nominated by the parties sometime during September in their national conventions. And then you have a lot of debates which happen, and finally the election happens on the election day in the November month. So this is going to be on November 3rd. It always happens on the first Tuesday after the first Monday. There is a historic reason to this, because Sundays were actually prayer days, because many of the Americans are Christians. And when they had to go on horsebacks to their districts to vote, they may take one day to travel. So Monday was left for that. Wednesday were market days. So they did not want to choose Wednesday as the election day. And so the first Tuesday after the first Monday was decided as the election day, because the harvest is also over by then and the winter would have also not set in. That's a historical significance of the election day. On this date, the voters of the country go and vote. They actually vote for electors who will elect the president and the vice president. Of course, they will be thinking in mind whom they want to have as the president, whom they want to have as the vice president. But technically, they go and vote for electors from that state. So how many electors each state has? Each state has the total of House of Representatives and Senate, the total number of members. That many electors is sent by each state. So for example, California has 53 members in the House of Representatives. It has 2 members in the Senate. Then the total number of electors which California will elect is 55. Like that, each state has number of electors. So the total number of electors is 538. How is this number arrived at? There are 435 members in the House of Representatives. There are 100 members in the Senate, and there are 3 members in the Washington DC, which is the capital of United States of America. So this total comes to 538. And out of this, the person who gets the maximum electoral votes, which is 270, 538 divided by 2 is 269. So whoever gets 270 electoral votes is declared the president, and similarly whoever gets 270 electoral votes is declared the vice president of the United States. So on November 3rd, when the voters go and vote in the elections, they are voting for their electors. And 48 states out of the 50 states in the US and Washington DC goes by the principle winner takes all. What does it mean? Let's take California as an example. There are totally around 21 million, which is 2.1 crore registered voters in California. Let's assume out of that 1 crore people come to vote on the election day, which is November 3rd. Then whichever party gets the maximum number of votes out of those 1 crore, they will get all the 55 electors from California. This is the practice which is followed by 48 states and Washington DC. Only 2 states, Nebraska and Maine, have a proportional electoral representation, but they are very small in size. You understand? So these states will vote, and based on this principle, the electors, they are decided by the party and they are placed in the ballot paper, and whichever party gets the maximum number of votes in each state, the electors from that state will actually vote during the middle of December for the president and the vice president. So by November 3rd night itself, you will know who is likely to be the next president. But when does the actual election to the president and vice president by the electors happen? During middle of December in the respective states. As I told you, whoever gets the maximum, whichever party gets the maximum votes in a state, the electors vote for that candidate. So if a state is won by a Democratic Party, all the electors of that state will vote for Mr. Biden. If a state is won by Republican Party, all the electors of that state will vote for Mr. Trump. So it is quite possible that a candidate has not won the popular vote, which is the total of all the votes cast by the people of America, but they win the electoral vote because of this system. So it has happened in the year 2000 when George Bush won the electoral vote but not the popular vote. It happened in 2016 when Mr. Trump won the electoral vote but not the popular vote. But who decides or elects the president? It is the Electoral College, which consists of these 538 electors. And then on January 20th of the next year, after the election year, it is a fixed date. So Mr. Trump was inaugurated as the president on January 20th, 2017. Now the next president will be inaugurated on January 20th, 2021. Like that, once every 4 years, on January 20th, the president is inaugurated into the office. So this is the process by which the president is elected in the United States. And the way the electoral campaign is going on there, it has come down to such low levels. People are accusing each other of old age, of not being in a good mental state, so on and so forth. It makes you feel that, the election campaign in our country is far better. Yeah, as they say, everything is fair in love and war, and the election to the president is virtually like a war which is happening in the United States. Let's hope the best man for that country and the world at large gets elected. And for those of you who felt that, yes, we learned some technical details on how the president gets elected, but we knew most of these facts, these trivias may be something which interests you. Number one, we have seen that electoral college votes, someone should get at least 270 votes. What if nobody gets a majority of 270? Then it is the House of Representatives which elects the president, and it is the Senate which elects the vice president. This has happened twice in the US history. First in 1800 when Thomas Jefferson was elected as the US President by the House of Representatives, and then in 1824 under the 12th Amendment when John Adams was elected as the President by the House of Representatives. Secondly, a person by name Gerald Ford. He has been both the Vice President and the President of the United States, but he has not contested an election at all. Interesting, isn't it? So he was nominated as the Vice President in 1973 by Mr. Richard Nixon after the then Vice President resigned, and subsequently in 1974 when Nixon himself resigned as the President, Gerald Ford became the President and continued till 1977. So he is the only American in US history who has served both as Vice President and as President without contesting an election. And finally, the US President cannot hold more than 2 terms, which means a person can be a President only for 8 years maximum. This has been a custom which the first President, Washington, said after 2 terms that I will not run for the 3rd term, and this custom was practiced. The only President who has served more than 8 years was President Roosevelt, who served in 4 terms. I mean, he died during the 4th term, but he was elected President 4 times because it was only a custom. But then in 1951, the Constitution itself was amended, and thereafter it is a law that a President can serve only a maximum of 2 terms. So I hope you found the video as well as these interesting trivia useful. I'll see you again with the next video next week. Thanks for watching.